Welcome everyone. We've got a VOD review tonight for Fierrastar. We're looking at the Duckling seed for this week, which is a floor entrance shuffle shard hunt. So let's get that going. So I did run this seed earlier today. So first question, I don't see you looking at the blursings for the character here. Hopefully you've looked at those already. Okay. So first good thing, taking the thief and then, floor entrance shuffle. To me, the thief is a must. We need to be able to run even, with the very, very low encounter rate. But this is the exact same party I ran. And skipping the weapons and armor shops, which I like as well. No white magic worth buying at all. Black magic isn't great either. But so you purchase Zap. I did buy Cake also. But, they both have fairly limited use. But they can both help you out a lot in the early game. So one of the things that you'll get better at is as you play more is knowing which classes can use, especially which armor. And unfortunately, the thief can't use either of the iron or the chain. So that guy up above the magic shops there is your hint giver. Hints are on in this flag set, so you do want to check them. Okay, we are going to take a look at the armor shop. One of the things with Shard Hunt, you're going to open so many chests, you will almost never need to buy armor or weapons. That Saber +1 is good enough to get started with. So, in a flag set like this, I'm never going to go into a weapon shop. And you've got a gold bracelet already. And that XP chest is really nice. Get you some early levels. Back into the armor shop. Yeah, unfortunately selling that Aegis shield doesn't get you a whole lot. What the blursings are, I actually don't have those written down, unfortunately. Alright, so you reset out of the first encounter, which is good. Heading up to Temple of Fiends, which is, a logical place. I would have saved before I went in here. So one of the things you'll want to do is to recognize these Cardia empties, because that you can make a real quick reset as soon as you see those. It looks like you're starting the encounter manipulation, burning that first encounter. It's like 3 steps off the hard reset, and then immediately going beyond that. So Titans, another almost definitely a dud location, but important to mark. I have seen floor entrance shuffle seeds where you've got to go through Titan's tunnel to find the ship or the floater. So, Gaia, definitely not a great find. Uh, Personally, I don't like checking these level 7 and 8 magic shops, and the hint giver is, you just pass that as well. You're usually not going to end up with enough charges. Yes, this is the weekly Duckling seed. Um, you're not going to end up with enough charges to really have a lot of level 7 and 8 stuff. Alright, the reset there is really good though, because you recognize there was nothing you needed on that side. So since you hadn't saved, you could reset all the way back to Canaria. And that's good to realize you'd missed the hint giver the first time, so you went back and got that. And this run off the hard reset, it was incredibly long. So if you're careful, you shouldn't see any encounters on the overworld the entire time. So, not a floor I usually like to find early because you can run into some nasty encounters here, but with how long this run is, I believe you're able to get in here and get all 10 chests without ever seeing an encounter. A couple early shards is nice. And that sun sword, I mean, it's not very good, but it's okay. So I'd probably put the Pro Cape on the White Mage. I want that White Mage to have as much protection as possible. Also, I would have exited out there because we know we can get back up to that staircase from, without any problem, and then run back in. But with there not being anything after that, it didn't matter. Yeah, the Thief doesn't need armor as much as the other classes, and to me, I want to keep it, because the White Mage has exit magic, I want the White Mage alive over everything. That is by far the most important party member to keep alive. So I know we had some conversation about this when I was running the seed on Sunday night. I don't like checking any of these other chests on Earth 3. I mean, you got a shard out of there, which is nice, but it's a lot of steps for one chest. So the only time I ever check that chest is if I've got loose items that I'm looking for. This one's better, it's only a couple extra steps. Okay, that makes sense. This next room is one I would say you almost never want to check the chests in, except for a seed like this where there's no trap tiles. Now this vampire is definitely not a great fight with the gear you have, but again the scaling's low enough that the Zeus Gauntlet is more than enough to get you through this fight. And there we see some of the use of Zap as it took out the vampire. Now we've got the bottle, which we know what that leads to. And unfortunately we don't have the rod, so we've got to exit out. Alright, good. The hard reset. Burn the first encounter, and... Alright, so skipping marsh. That's interesting. Lefane, of course, in these flags is a great find with it having the superstore, and you can get your levels 1, 3, and 4 magic. Yeah, wanting a sweeper, certainly valuable. But with that thief, you're going to be able to run from stuff. It's debatable. Yeah, Ice 2, I might have picked, I think I did pick up Bane there. And there we finally got a real sweeper with Nuke. So buying Fire 3 there isn't terrible, but with the number of fights you're going to take in this flag set, you may never use Fire 3. And so we know that Fast now is unfortunately level 6, but we'll get some charges of that eventually, and very nicely Cure 4 is rolled to both the red and white mage. I'd also probably have that red mage in slot 2, the white mage move them down to slot 3. Or some people might even want the white mage in slot 4 to have the 2 black magic casters next to each other. But given that white mage is now not only your... then I would put the white mage in slot 4. Because given that the white mage is both your teleport magic and now your life caster also, you want to protect them as much as possible. Alright, so we found the other end of Titan, so now we know that we never ever need to go back there. So I like to save sort of in between those 2 mountain spots right there. That way if you find out that marsh is nothing, you can reset all the way back there. So yeah, with this long run on the encounter table, I check all these chests on this floor. Right, but you already know where the canoe is. Because you picked up that bottle, and you got a hint that that bottle's going to give you the canoe. That light axe is actually a really good pickup at this point. It'll give the white mage something to do. This is a bad fight to run into. At this point, I'd probably life. I'd then exit out and use that house that you picked up. That would let you reset the encounter table completely. So the big thing to me is always, it's always about chest density. This is one of those fights, if you're going to take this, use the nukes on this fight. This is a good experience fight. Ice 2 doesn't really work against slimes. And they can do a fair amount of damage, so I would just use the nukes here. So one of the big things in a shard hunt. Oh, trust me, I've been playing this for 4 years and I don't know all the weaknesses at times. So I, still do what you just did sometimes because I forget. But floor entrance shuffle's about chest density. So that one by itself, I would not check that one. These two side rooms have 9 chests between them. Definitely check both of them. And that's pretty good. Ribbon, a whole bunch of experience, and alright, good. You put the ribbon on the white mage. That's where you want it. Alright, good. We're going with the nukes this time. Well, there's an endgame weapon. Nice and early. If we promote. So that's another point. You don't want to run from this fight. You came out of Marsh, you saved, you hard reset. That was all good. Just soft reset and get going. Looking at the map. Okay. Yeah, so that's one thing that'll definitely help you as you play more. Just, you know, learning to recognize the map, and you know, I've noticed you doing that also when you get into some of these locations. It takes you some time to, you know, it looks like it's taking you some time to figure out which floor you're on. Okay. How do you, I see you've got the tracker up on your screen. Is that where you do all your tracking, or do you make notes elsewhere? You have an Excel sheet. Okay. I do all my tracking paper and pencil. So you got your canoe. I'm hoping you're going to go back to the item shop next, because you're starting to run out, unless I missed it, of tents and cabins. You also definitely want to save when you leave the town. Trouble reading. Yeah, I can understand that one. Mine can be pretty bad too. Alright, so it looks like you're going down to Crescent Lake first. I think I did Ice and Volcano first, but I think, you know, any order on this is fine. Unfortunately, in this case, the Crescent Lake location wasn't great. Good, always good to max out the heal potions. So in terms of this hint giver, I don't usually check this hint giver until I have the Oxyel, just because it's such a long walk. But if you were going to do that, I probably would have exited out and then used a house. I understand why you did it the way you did, because you don't have a lot of resources at the moment, but it's a few seconds time saved to exit out and use the house outside instead of walking back to the inn. I think you just bought like 3 houses. Alright, so there's your ship. And you now know where your floater is. You just know that you need the key to get to it. So always save when you've picked up an item at a location like that. So you picked up the ship. Yeah, that's a tough one to remember when you're first getting used to it. All right, this room is definitely worth checking. It's got 5 chests. So after I finish checking this room, I would exit out. Does it save the step you're on for routing? Yes. If you soft reset. So if you hard reset, it goes back to the beginning of the step sequence. But if you save and soft reset, it keeps you right where you are. Well, that ice armor, if you find promotion, is a nice endgame armor for the thief. I actually never found that because I don't usually check that room. That room, to me, is one that's a little too far out of the way for not enough chests. And gas Ds are good experience if you had wanted it, but I agree with running from it. You're getting so much XP from the XP chests that you don't really need to take fights. But if you needed XP, a couple nukes would have gotten you some quick XP there. Yeah, especially in the desert. That's if you've got to encounter that quick off the hard reset. Well, I don't know why my computer just did that, but looks like we're gonna get a replay of those last few seconds. When you have an encounter that quick off the hard reset, desert gets you some really quick, good encounters also. So just a really subtle thing that I like that you did there, you picked up that pro ring, you didn't immediately go and equip it. I see a lot of players, especially new players, all right, I picked up something new, let me equip it right away. There's 4 more chests in that room. You might find a second piece of equipment, and then you've got to menu a second time to equip that. So I actually like that you didn't spend the time menuing right away to do that. Now right about here, you're going to run into an encounter. So what you wanted to do before this encounter came up was to put down another tent or cabin or whatever, hard reset, burn that first encounter, soft reset, and then go, just like you are now. So kind of unfortunate in terms of just the luck there. You found the Oxyel up at Ice Cave and then had to come back down here to Crescent Lake, whereas if you had done Ice Cave first, you could have done this in one trip, but nothing wrong with that, just the way the luck works out sometimes. Yeah, working on the step encounters, it's hard. Oh, this location, this was a fun location, I remember this. The biggest thing I would say about the step encounters is, isn't it fun to find both splits in one location? The first practice I ran of this flag set getting ready for Sunday night had double cave with both splits about I think 8 or 9 floors down with a required ship and no exit magic. That was pretty terrible. Alright, so the exit is good there. Again, I would have hard reset, burned the encounter before I came back in, just so I knew where I was on the encounter table. But I think what I was starting to say, and switch topics too many times, best way to keep track of where you are in terms of that next encounter is by the music. So I ended up getting pretty lucky in this seed that, even we had the double split, um, the top side of Marsh didn't have a whole lot. Oh yeah, no, I get it. There's a lot to keep track of during this game. And to me, that's one of the ways when you really become good at it is that you sort of are able to process all of those things at the same time. For example, one of the ways I try to save time is I try to do all of my tracking when I'm in battle. So I'm sure just as you were hoping to find the key in there so you could go back and get the floater, but nope, we've got to go find the ship. So, I mean, the good thing is, given that we know the floater's behind the key, at this point we only have 4 locations that key can be in. The Melman location, Earth, Titan's East, and Ordeals. So we've got one possibility here with the Sages. Alright, good. Get some cabins. I would have bought some more houses. Just so you have enough of them. Alright, we got Chime. Vorpal -2, so now we know we don't really want that. So again, that's another example. You hard reset, you found the encounter, just reset out of that. Alright, Earth 1. Skip the boxes on Earth 1. Yes, there's 5 boxes on this floor, but they're all spread out. And so this is just another example of a floor that, to me, chest density is too low to make it worthwhile. Yeah, I don't know. I've lost track of how many you have at the moment, but what I would say about that, this is a 28 shard hunt, but you've already seen Tia. So Tia is good for 4 shards. So you now know you only need 24. You're going to run into some of the other fiends at some point. So to me, a 28 shard hunt is really about an 18 shard hunt, and I assume I'm probably going to kill 3 fiends. So 18 to 20 shards is what I need. And I also know at this point I haven't seen some of the highest chest density floors. You know, we haven't seen either of the volcano floors that have chests. We haven't seen Mirage 1 or Sky 3. Haven't seen mermaids. Dwarf Cave is going to get, you know, has a lot of chests. Alright, and big nothing at the bottom of that cave. Did you just reset all? Did you lose what you got out of there? I think. 'Cause it looked like you reset back to Melmond. I mean, you didn't lose a ton. I think it was maybe one shard. Right, but I mean, at least one shard is, you know, it wasn't like you found 3 key items and 2 shards in there. But that's why I emphasize again, as soon as you leave a location, you know, before you even take any steps, save. Alright, good. We'll warp back up. Alright, so key pretty much had to be there. We didn't have many other locations left. Now, some people would exit out after that immediately. I actually like this play. This is the same thing I did when I played this seed. I grabbed those 2 chests and then these 6 at the bottom. I did not go back up to the next floor for the other chests. But I don't think it's a bad play if you do that. Another katana. So this was the point where I exited out of here. So we get to find out if I missed anything important. That last shard would have been very helpful. I was 1 shard short at the end of my seed. So you've now got your key. You can go get your floater out of Volcano. I like to go to Ordeals first on my way by. You know, Ordeals is just easier to get to from the sea. So I went east when I left there and stopped at Ordeals. Now the interesting question is where to go from here, because you've got a lot of you've got a ton of locations that open up to you. So I think with where you parked your ship, you would have actually been better off walking over to your ship and sailing down to the desert. but I don't think it makes a significant difference. Alright, so I like this play of going and looking at the towns first, especially because we know Provoke is still out there. And I always feel like in Floor Entrance Shuffle, I want to get my if I know the location of a key item, I want to go get it as quickly as possible, because whatever I find might mean that I can avoid a double dip later on. And that's a perfect example, because I don't believe we've seen Melmond yet. So now you know that as soon as you find Melmond, you've already got the slab in hand. Armor shops, no reason to be checking any armor shops. If you need to buy armor, you found the gold bracelets, they were back in Canaria. Also, don't forget the Hint Giver in Provoca next to the White Magic shop. So, great encounter here if you want some extra experience, but use the nukes. Yeah, and if you have higher encounter rates, then that's definitely something you want to keep in mind. But with these low encounter rates, and especially encounters on the overworld, go ahead and burn through the resources, because you can always use a house and get your resources back. Alright, that's better. So now a couple interesting, questions about where to go. Do you go back to Canaria Castle and get the item from the princess? Do you go over to the Onrak continent because you know the vendor item's got to be there? Or do we find my least favorite location of all, Ordeals? Of course, we've got to do Ordeals because we know it's incentivized. And good using the heal 3s to heal the party. Not only is it faster than using heal potions, but you get those resources back a lot faster than having to go buy more heal potions. So anytime you can do that, definitely a time save. A lot of shards in here. Ruby. I don't think I ever came in here during this seed. Yeah, I don't think I ever saw that. So it's interesting that Ordeal's play paid off quite well in terms of the number of shards and that opal bracelet. Uh, but in terms of the item, it was unfortunately not required. So you're skipping a bunch of rooms, this entire floor. This is a floor where you want to check the chests because with those damage tiles, um, you don't get many encounters, and there's a lot of chests on that floor. That's nice. We found the herb before finding Elfland Castle. Skip that, except for checking the Agama. Yeah, no, that floor is a really good one for checking a bunch of chests quickly. I wouldn't bother picking up that Zeus Gauntlet. You've got much better magic at this point. That Ice Shield, though, is something you wanted to keep because you may be able to use that after, if you promote. The Power Gauntlet, of course, is a terrific find. Alright, save before you go in here. And you might as well check that other chest on the way by. That's only a couple steps out of the way. The room above the incentive room does have 2 chests, so I do check that one in many cases as well. Because it's only a couple steps out of the way. And that's unfortunate, because you didn't save before you came in here running out of exit charges. Oh. I don't think it's worth moving the airship to check this other location. And that's a good decision, to just skip that floor. So that room up that you just ran by has a ton of chests in it. So definitely a room you don't want to skip. This you regret? Why do you regret this? Oh yeah, the armory. This is a very winnable fight. You know, ruse up the thief, start using the power gauntlet, and just start throwing out nukes. Yeah, that Kraken rolled really low. So 4 nice, easy shards. And if I remember correctly, I think the Volcano Armory was where the Massa was. Um, and I believe the Massa rolled +5 in this seed. And so it's not just missing. Yeah, so it's not just missing that. At this point, your best endgame weapon that you've got is the katana, which, you know, katana +2 is a very good endgame weapon, but you've got to promote for that. And I don't think I ever found the tail in this seed. So having that Massa means you don't need to promote. Well, now we know where our vendor item is for sure. In addition to that, fighting that war mech gives you a whole bunch of levels. I think my thief ended up at level 35 in this seed. So there's the crown that we don't really need. All right, well, now we know where our TNT is. And that'll get us our loot. So we know that crown's going to turn into a pretty bad Vorpal. So Mermaid's Floor. Check all the chests. You still need shards. That's as free of a floor as there is to check chests on because there's no encounters. Here's one of our best floors for, a lot of chests. 14 chests on this floor. Well, there's the tail. I assume we're looking for going back to Lefane now to get the TNT to go get the loot. And that's another example of what I was talking about earlier. Once you picked up that slab, um, if you had traded that in immediately before diving other locations, you would have already had the TNT before you found dwarves, and it would have saved you a double dip into that location, because I forget how far down dwarves is, but it was definitely a few floors down. Let's see, what was that? You had, I think it was 21 at this point. Yeah, 21, so we already know where Tia is, so that gets you to 25. Yeah, so this illustrates that as well. This floor is very inefficient. Yeah, this is not a fight I would take. Airs often have high evade. Um, as you mentioned that earlier, that quick encounter off the hard reset. If you think you need some levels, Desert is the place to go, and there was very nicely a T-Rex in one of the quadrants. So what actually happened to me when I ran this seed was, when I found that massive chest, because it's guarded by Warmech, Warmech took out all but my thief. So this thief gained a ton of levels. I went and then killed a few T-Rexes, and the thief was in the mid-30s, and that made everything else pretty easy. Now, with how low the scaling is and the magic that you have, definitely, wasn't necessary, but given that you had the tail and that you know you're going to promote anyway, I would have promoted before I came in here. That way it lets the thief equip the katana, makes him a little more useful in the fight against Tia. Again, good using the heal 3. So one of the things I really like to emphasize when you go into any Fiend fight, whether it's the original Fiends or the Fiend refights, that was good to throw out the Bane. But you always want to know exactly what that first turn is going to be before you even go into the fight. That way you put the commands in. As that first turn is playing out, you should be thinking, here's what I'm going to do round 2. And that way, as soon as that first round is over, you can put those commands in immediately. So checking behind the rod, and I think this is actually fairly disappointing. Okay, you thought the Bane was on the Thief. That makes sense then. So, given that we know it's a Vorpal -2 here, I would not bother to fight Astos. Again, if you need more experience, take advantage of that hard reset. Oh, we've all done that. You're like, I got all the way over here. I'm gonna get my reward. And I mean, at least you did get a shard here. So I think you just need the 2 shards at this point, which you can get by killing Carrie. That's probably your easiest place to get them. I just don't remember where Carrie is. I know you haven't checked the Ordeals entrance. That might be the only one you haven't checked at this point. Promoting. Oh, thank you. Yeah, given the gear that you have, promoting it is the logical move here. I just forgot because I never got back, never found the tail in this one. Yeah, I don't think the promoting was probably the lesser of those. But yeah, losing out, not catching that armory was definitely significant. Yes, it was a revisit, but that's probably only a minute or 2. So this isn't a bad floor to check, given that you only need 2 shards. Maybe you get lucky and find 2 shards here, and then you don't even need to go look for carry. And that's it. Also convenient because you're right by Temple of Fiends there. So right there, if you had hard reset, that's where you would have found the T-Rex. Oh, you did find it. Good. Well, if you're not using any magic, then... Well, okay. Yeah, so I was going to say, if you don't use any magic, then using that house early isn't going to hurt you. Yeah, I actually did something very, very similar to what you're doing right now. So, I mean, I'd say overall you've got a lot of solid play in here. The biggest thing is, just kind of working on, you know, knowing your locations, um, as well as, knowing where your chest locations are. Level 25 across the board, scaling's low. You're probably good to go in at this point. I did go up a lot higher, but that's because I was leveling a solo thief, which, 20,000 per fight goes very, very quickly. Yeah, in fact, the scaling here is low. You're, especially for the full party, you're definitely over leveling. I'm expecting a very, very easy Temple of Fiends for you at this point. So on something like this Lich fight, um, and the carry fight, and maybe even some of the others, throw out the nukes. You've got Fade, you've got Harm 4 on the White Mage, you've got nukes on the Red and Black Mages. Personally, I also would have dropped the Zeus Gauntlet and picked up that Flame Shield, because there's no reason for the Thief not to equip that at this point. Fishing on Lich, you don't need to do that on Lich. If you put out enough damage round 1 on Lich, Lich is going to die round 1, and you just don't have to worry about magic there. Equipping the ice armor, yeah, that would have been good also. So same thing here, just fight, fade, nuke, nuke. And with the low scaling, you should be able to take out carry round 1. Now Kraken you may want to be a little more careful on. So the Ruse Invis 2 is good. Yeah, definitely get that fast out first turn. So I was about to say before that happened, since your ninja is your main damage dealer, you may want to consider moving the ninja into a different slot. I'd probably put the black mage in front, because the only thing you need the black mage for is to get that fast through. Now I see the hesitation on using the nuke on the red mage because it shares a level with Cure 4, but if fiends are dead, you don't need curing magic. Enough nukes for Tia and Chaos? So in my opinion at least, the nukes aren't as important on Tia and Chaos because they've got a lot more HP. You're normally relying on more on damage, from whoever your damage dealer is for those fights. And it's good to cure the white mage there since you want it's where you've got your life magic. It might not be a bad idea to throw out a ruse though on that ninja at the beginning of the fight. And for Chaos, definitely put the black mage in front, put the thief in the back. The only thing that black mage needs to do is get a single cast of fast off. Or the red mage in front is also fine. Because that red mage really doesn't have a lot to do at this point. Alright, so everything you did in that first round makes sense. The Fire 3 is not going to do a whole lot. If I was going to do anything with the red mage, I'd probably throw out a lock. Just because red mage doesn't have anything else to do, and we have no idea what Chaos's evade is at this point. The only thing I might comment on here is I probably would have Cure 4'd the Thief instead of the Heal 3, just in case Chaos has another nuke coming up. Your Thief is actually, still in nuke range. And at this point, that's the only character that I truly care about keeping alive. GG's. All right, so hopefully that was helpful. As I said, saw a lot of good things. You know, definitely some areas where it can save some time, but a lot of good things to work with there. Um, Say if you don't have any questions, I'm going to sign off. Feel free to contact me with any questions that you might have. Um, yeah, shard hunts are a lot of fun. Definitely a fun way to play the game. But yeah, so glad to be of some help, and thanks for watching.